In this episode of the Business of E-commerce, I talk with Chris Parker, the founder of WhatIsMyIpAddress.com. This is the Business of E-commerce, episode 15. Welcome to the Business of E-commerce, the podcast that helps e-commerce retailers start, launch, and grow their e-commerce business. I'm your host, Charles Pileski. I'm here today with Chris Parker, the founder of WhatIsMyIpAddress.com. Chris is the founder of What's My IP Address, one of the top 3,000 websites in the U.S. What Is My IP Address gets about 6 million visitors per month, which Chris has used to make a full-time income using affiliate sales. So I wanted to bring Chris on the podcast today to talk a bit more about this. Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Hey, Charles. Doing great. Thank you.
Yeah, great to have you on. So I wanted to kind of talk about your career and your past and going from, I know you started in, typical e-commerce, and then you kind of moved to starting the site, and then from there you've been using the site and moved to an affiliate model. So it's actually reverse what you hear a lot of people going from affiliate sales to e-commerce sales. So it's pretty interesting. I wanted to kind of talk more about that.
Sure, I'd love to talk about it. I started back in the late 90s working for an online catalog retailer, Club Mac, as most elderly Mac people will remember. It predates a lot of people on the show, I'm sure, but it was a great experience working in sales there. And with the advent of the internet, we put together an online store, and I got to be able to help with that both on the web development side as well as on the affiliate management side, so being on the flip side, but being able to monitor those online orders, watch out for fraud, making sure everything was shipping, and dealing with a lot of customer service questions.
So you were the one then on that side receiving the orders from the different retailers?
No, I was actually we were the retailer receiving the orders from the customers.
From the customers, got it. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So typical e-commerce, what is today a very typical e-commerce business.
Yep.
It was really pretty exciting, interesting time, and one of the things that I wanted to do on my own during that time was kind of dabble at my own e-commerce, and so I started a website called DiscountBibles.com. And so help people find a Bible that they were looking for and ship it out to them.
I like how it's discount Bibles as well, not just... Yeah.
You can't sell anything at full price.
You need to buy Bibles at a discount. Okay.
Exactly. So I was competing with Amazon.
Yep.
At the early days. One of the interesting things about that was I was trying to do this while working a full-time job. So it was letting those few orders come in during the day. At night, I have to place my order with the distributor. At lunch the next day, pick them up from where they were getting shipped to. The next night, scramble and box them up.
Yep.
The next day at lunch, take them to the post office or FedEx or UPS. And that was my routine for about 2 years.
And back in the day, people forget how manual some of these steps were, and even printing labels and some of these things it was very laborious.
Every credit card had to be, there was almost no automation. Every credit card had to be manually typed in, manually run through the credit card processing software. Every Bible had to be individually boxed and sealed by me in my living room. Wow.
And how many, as far as volume of orders, do you have any memory of what you were getting?
At the peak, the last year that I ran it, I think it was about 200 orders the last month. Yep. So it was about 10 orders a day, 10 to 15 orders a day. So it was not just a 5 minutes here, a 5 minutes there. It was a couple hours boxing stuff up, a couple hours putting stuff together. It became a second full-time occupation, and unfortunately, the order sizes were $5, $10, and $20.
You typically don't, buy 5 Bibles at once, but
definitely not. Most people didn't.
Hopefully, not many people were returning them. So at least on that side.
There unfortunately were returns. That's hard to say. And that was a whole hassle. Now I got to pick them back up. Okay, are they in good enough condition that I can resell them again, or do I have to send them back, or is it just inventory shrinkage and I got to toss it or donate it to someone else who might use it for free?
Okay, so that was kind of in that. Now we're in early 2000s.
Yep, that was in the early 2000s, and honestly, it just got to be too much for me to be able to manage this. There's got to be a better way to do this. I can't scale this up. It's not enough money to quit my day job. It's not making enough money that it's making a significant difference to my lifestyle.
Yep.
So one of the things that I looked at doing was
Do you recall
becoming
Do you recall about how much money? So out of those 300 orders a month, 200 orders, about. Do you remember any of those numbers, profit wise?
I remember the top month was about $12,000 in revenue.
Okay.
And back in the day, buying in small quantities, I could make about 30 points margin on it, which was actually pretty good. So it was about 30% off retail, about 30% margin. So it was a couple $1,000s a month, but also got to pay for the boxes, pay for the packing tape, pay for the shipping was part of that. But so maybe I made $2,000 a month at the end of the day.
And there probably wasn't a road to kind of 10xing that, 100xing that. It was kind of that was it.
No.
Yeah.
That was it. I mean, I definitely spend money on advertising and driving more traffic. But if I drove more traffic, then I've got to hire people to box stuff up, and that would probably be it for my margin, and it would be, really tight.
Yep.
So one of the things that I switched to was switch to becoming an Amazon affiliate.
Okay.
And so rather than me shipping it, I just had, instead of, on my buy link, instead of adding it to the cart on my side, it just added it to an Amazon cart.
Ah, okay. So now so it was completely just affiliate links at that point, but you were still running ads to the site.
Correct. I was still driving a little bit of display advertising to the site. Kind of hard in that space. There weren't a whole lot of Christian-themed websites that ran display advertising, that you could run display advertising campaigns on. That was probably pre-AdWords.
Yeah, so I think it was still before they bought AdWords. The name is eluding me right now, but before Google bought them, and then before that, you need to even go to the individual sites and strike up a deal with each site, and that alone was work.
Yep.
So.
Yep, and most of those deals where you had to give them $5,000 or something like that, and maybe it got you 3 months, but no one would do a 1 or 2 week trial to see how it worked, because it was labor intensive for everybody in the entire process. It wasn't the automation that we see today.
Yep.
And then unfortunately, for those that have been in the Amazon space a long time, in California, Amazon dropped all their affiliates back in the early 2000s. Because of tax issues. They didn't want to have to charge sales tax to their customers in California. So it was either charge sales tax or get rid of all your California-based affiliates.
Yep.
And I was a California-based affiliate, and it was basically overnight, your business is done, you're gone, tough luck.
Yep. But at this point, you still had your day job. So it was, your side gig was basically wiped out, but at least you weren't, flat done at that point.
Yeah, and that was very fortunate that doing particularly the affiliate portion of it made it easy to be able to do it as a side gig, because I didn't have to spend the hours boxing, shipping, packing, returning emails, processing credit cards, all the day-to-day business I didn't have to do because Amazon was doing it.
So then how do you
definitely
and then what did you spend your time on at that point? Or were you not spending that much time in the business? You're able to kind of just set it and forget it?
I wasn't spending that much time on the business. I had a full-time job that was growing. Responsibilities there were growing, and trying to live my life. And nice having a little side gig affiliate revenue that would make you an extra $1,500 a month when you're in college. And a young adult that's paying off debt money.
Yeah. and if you're not doing any work, going from actually doing the pick and pack yourself to just having Amazon do it for you. Not the worst thing.
It was like, hey, this isn't bad. Until it disappeared.
Yeah. And then it sounds like you wanted to kind of move to the next thing from there.
Yeah. So through a couple of job transitions, I had on a fluke bought the domain name WhatIsMyIpAddress.com. I was doing some IT stuff, and I needed to know what my IP address was at the office, and at that time, Google didn't answer that question for you.
Yep.
So let me go out and buy a website to do this. And that was, I think I launched that in 2000 with no intent of ever monetizing it, really no intent ever of putting content on it.
Yep.
But over the years, I started, why is the hard drive getting full on this machine? It was run out of my house.
And you bought that. No, you didn't buy it from someone. No one was using it at the time. You just saw it for sale, and you $7.99 or whatever it was, just purchased it. And that was it.
Yep, it was. I bought it through, I think, who was it? Network Solutions. I think they charged, $80 a year or some ridiculous by today's standards rate for a domain name, and you had to find your own DNS providers, and it was a technology. You had to do a lot of technology to get a website up in those days.
Yeah, buying a domain was not such a trivial, go to GoDaddy and put it in your shopping cart. It took some more, quite a lot more effort than today.
Yep. Now it's for better or for worse. It's very simple now, and even putting together a website now with WordPress or one of the other CMSs out there, it's almost trivial to have an online presence for your business in a matter of minutes.
Yeah. So back in 2000, you kind of had the foresight to actually go out and find this and spin up the site and get it going.
Yep.
Okay.
And started running out of hard drive space on that machine and couldn't figure out why. And a little bit of digging, I found out, oh my gosh, there's lots of people visiting this website. I got to figure out what to do with this.
That's great.
It was just happenstance.
Yeah.
Started researching display ads and
at that point, was there anything? Was the website doing anything at that point? Was it actually providing their IP address?
All it did was show the IP address.
That's it. Okay.
That's it. There was no information. There was no what is an IP address. There was no learning, no education.
Yep.
Just the number showed up on the screen.
Yeah, the internet in the early days, the bar was very low for what a website did. What is my IP address? Just gave you your IP address.
And the people that were coming to it were probably very happy with it. It was doing exactly what they expected it to do.
Yep.
It went there and it gave them exactly what they were looking for.
Yep. So you started to actually So then you started to look at. Did you have any idea what kind of volume you were getting back in the early days? What kind of traffic?
Well, obviously it started from zero. It wasn't. It was maybe a few thousand page views a day.
Okay.
But in those days, that was a non-trivial amount of traffic.
Yeah.
Today you can get a lot of traffic pretty quick with so many people on the internet. But at that time, it was, wow, this is a fair amount of traffic. I should do something with it.
Yep.
Which led to the challenges of, okay, how do you monetize someone looking for their IP address? It's not someone coming and saying, I want to buy a new computer. It's not someone I'm looking to buy a phone or a car. They're just looking for information. How do you monetize that?
Yep.
And so that led me to doing some research and finding out that there were companies that, gosh, I would just put a little code on my website and they'll put a banner ad on there for me and pay me a percentage. I don't have to find people to advertise on the site, and this is easy peasy.
Yeah, and offload all the ad sales, and that was early 2000s when this banner ads got their start. That's when they became, the thing.
Yep.
Yep.
And it was easy. There was no support I had to offer. There was no product to ship. There was no inventory. Didn't have to pay anybody. It was just small amounts of money coming into my bank account every month.
Yeah.
This is great. And so I started trying to figure out, well, how do I grow this? Well, I got to put more information on the site. I got to tell people what is an IP address.
Yep.
And start educating people on things. And found put an email address on the site and said, hey, if you've got questions, email me. And so people started emailing me questions, and I started answering them and using those as criteria for articles.
Yep.
And one of the things that people kept asking me was, hey, I'm trying to access my computer at home while I'm away from it. How do I do that?
So this is very early content marketing. Very, very early days you're talking here.
Very, very early days.
Yep.
And I wasn't even thinking of running ads for the site or anything. It was just, hey, this is kind of fun. This is interesting. I'm making a little bit of money. I'm trying to answer some questions. Being a geek, that's kind of an easy thing to do. And so people started like, how do I access my computer? I need to access my home computer while I'm traveling for work or at the office. How do I do that? I'm like, well, I don't know. Let me find out. And so there was PC Anywhere at the time.
Yep.
And so I started to find out that PC Anywhere had an affiliate program that I could put a little link to my site, link to their site on my site. Hey, if you're trying to figure out how to access your machine, you can buy this software. And I make a couple bucks. I'm like, hey, this is great. No inventory, no credit cards to process, no returns to process.
So now you're just on top of the banners. You have another just affiliate link. Some people clicking on it. Still, you're talking hundreds of dollars a month.
Yep. At that time, it was hundreds of dollars a month.
Yep.
And then over the years, have just continued to grow the site. Go to My PC became very popular, and that was a great affiliate program. I was probably getting a number of sales a day at $10 commission per sale.
Yep.
And that was kind of wow, you can really make some money doing affiliate sales. Okay, how do I continue to grow this? And over the years, built out quite a bit of tools on the site. The traffic's gone up to about, I think as of last month, about 6 million people a month coming to the site from all over the world.
Wow.
Which has its own challenges. It's easy to monetize U.S. traffic. International traffic becomes a little more difficult to monetize.
Yeah, it's less targeted, so you're not just the U.S. advertisers might not even work in some of those different geographies. So yeah, you need to almost find people per country, and there's a whole host of issues though when you start moving outside.
Yep, it became U.S. traffic was easy. There's plenty of companies that you can work with in the U.S. to monetize traffic.
Yep.
Or monetize display. Google AdSense, with its advent in I think 2003, 2005, something like that. I think I joined in 2006.
Yep.
That became again another one of those easy ways of, okay, set it, forget it. I don't have to have a sales team trying to sell ads based on my site. I don't have to. It's just all automated, which makes it as an easy occupation when it's running in the background and it doesn't require your day-to-day attention.
But how far into this, where were you at when you decided, okay, this is starting to become my day job, and this is going to be my thing? What year were you at then?
At the point where it was probably about 7 years ago, where I was making as much money on my side gig from WhatIsMyIpAddress.com as I was making from my day job.
Yep.
And so it was like, okay, I can still kind of do both. And I wasn't sure that by quitting my day job, I'd actually be able to make that much more from WhatIsMyIpAddress. It was like, well, I'm sure some attention will make a little bit more money, but I don't know that quitting my job I'll be able to double my revenue on the website by quitting my job.
And this is 2010, 2011?
This is probably around 2012 or so, 2010, 2012. Unfortunately, at that time, unfortunately for them, my daytime job, they started struggling with the financial crisis, and they couldn't afford to keep me on full time. But they still wanted to keep running. They still wanted to keep their business afloat and continue running. So they say, hey, can you contract with us for 20 hours a week? And to me, that just happened to be like, hey, yeah, I can do that.
Yep, it's almost the perfect setup, right? Now you can put put a toe in the pool, but not jump all the way in head first and try it and just see how it fails. Yep.
Exactly. So what might have at the moment seemed like, oh my gosh, how am I going to pay my bills? That's the knee-jerk reaction, was that of like, oh, I need to get no, I can't do that. I need to get a full-time job. And my wife and I talked about it. I thought, well, I'm making some money. I'm making decent money on the side business. And yeah, we're taking a pay cut because I'm not going to be working full-time for them anymore. But, if I put 20 hours a week in on this, an additional 20 hours a week on this, I might be able to grow this.
Yep.
And so I did that with them off and on for a couple of years. Economy went up, economy went down. So the hours with them, at one point went back up to 40 hours a week. But in 2014, they were like, we can't keep the doors open. And so at that point, it was like, I'm going to jump in full time. And it became my full-time gig in 2014.
Yeah, you hear that a lot where you have something else going on, and then you're not ready yet, but there's that catalyst, and that's that little push you need to say, okay, it's either now or it could be 5 years from now, but like this is the moment. Let's just try it. And worst case,
Yeah.
you're in IT, you're in California, you could probably get another job. So it wasn't, it wasn't going to be if this doesn't work and you do this for 6 months and realize like, okay, this just isn't what I want to do. You're done. You can just get another job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was what my wife and I talked about. We said, well, let's try it for a year and see how it goes. I hadn't worked from home before. I didn't know what it'd be like to sit in the house and hang out with the dog all day. It might get a little stir crazy, or putting 40 hours in on the week on the website might not generate more revenue. If it only makes 5% more at 40 hours a week, it's probably not worth it. It's better to go get a day job.
Yep.
But like you said, if the company I was working for hadn't struggled, I probably wouldn't have made the leap myself.
Yeah. You hear that all the time, that exact setup. So
it was that push that I needed, like, okay, I'm ready to do this. I'm going to try it. And it's been a blast ever since. And having that extra time, that 40 plus hours a week to work on, has allowed me to really build much better relationships with my vendors, because I'm available to talk to them. I can interact with them on a regular basis, as opposed to, I've got 15 minutes on my lunch break where we can talk for a little bit, or, hammer out a few emails.
where you're in the stairwell and, you're trying to take the call. Yeah.
I've had a few days like that where it's like, well, I got a 15-minute break. Let me run outside, I got to get back.
Yeah. You're trying to make this professional call from the car and out and someone's, next to you beeping, and
exactly. It's hard to be professional in those types of situations. So it's been a blast, so making that transition.
And that was what year?
That was 2014.
Okay. So 2014, that was the year that, full-time work was done, and this is what you're doing now.
Yep. And so it's been 4 years. Wow. It's already been 4 years. So
when you say it out,
this full time.
Yep.
When you say it out loud, it sounds different.
Yep. It's always amazing when at the beginning, when you say 4 years from now, it sounds so far away. But when you actually start doing it and you look back 4 years, you say, wow, this has already been 4 years. That's amazing. It's different in reverse.
Yep.
Yep. So now when you say you're talking with your vendors on a daily basis, and that's helping sales and affiliate incomes, who are you talking to, and what's your day look like?
So when it comes to my affiliate relationships, they're mostly companies that are offering VPN services. So if you're, particularly in this day and age with net neutrality kind of going away and people being paranoid, not so much in the U.S., but in a lot of countries, people are really concerned about what their government is doing. Their internet is censored. They can't get on YouTube. They can't get on Facebook.
Yep.
And people want to have that kind of safety of knowing, okay, I want to be able to access the content that I want to be able to access, but I don't want to go to jail.
Yep.
Or business travelers, they're traveling abroad, and it's like, well, I don't want some sketchy hotel seeing what websites I'm going to, or some compromised network somewhere maybe getting my bank account accessed.
And you're on the hotel Wi-Fi. Even in U.S. hotels, it's not, now you're exposing yourself in a large hotel to everyone else at that hotel, and even just pulling, like you said, email or anything like that, connecting back to the office. A lot of people even here, you're on VPNs, and it helps to protect yourself when you're traveling. I've even done that. So.
Yeah, and so it's VPNs have become a topic that a lot of people these days know about. When I originally was starting to promote VPNs, it was maybe people looking to do a little more shifty things, or people outside the U.S. trying to access Netflix and content that they specifically couldn't in their own countries. But now it's a lot of business people and just day-to-day people just not trusting the Wi-Fi at their local coffee shop, and not trusting the hotel that they're at, which is you're probably good to be wary of those things. Yeah,
and even I know back in the day, back in another life, I was in financial software, and that was a requirement when you were traveling. If you were doing anything business related, you were on the VPN back at the office, and everything came out of the office IP, and you would actually want to find out what's your IP address to make sure it was coming out of the office IP and not your, random hotel wherever you were at the time.
Yep, and honestly, that's a lot of the traffic that we see is the people that are, like, they look at their IP address when they're on the Wi-Fi, they spin up their VPN, and they come back to the site and like, okay,
I know my IP address.
I'm no longer on the coffee shop. I'm now back in Southern California, or I'm in some other country where I'd rather be.
Yep. So now you're
not showing that I'm on my Wi-Fi.
So now you're spending time talking directly to like a VPN, a VPN merchant, someone selling VPN software. And are you trying to get better terms with them, or just kind of build the relationship, or what do you spend your time on?
It's all of that. They're more in touch with what their customers are looking for, and they're in touch with what the current search phrases are that they're really converting well on. And every company converts on something a little bit different than the other ones. So some VPN might allow peer-to-peer file sharing, and so working with them to develop content that talks about why their particular VPN is good, in conjunction with peer-to-peer file sharing, working to build out that content, whereas someone else is, no, we don't allow any peer-to-peer. We're looking more for business travelers and things like that. So building out content around what works for them. And the natural sort of thing is, as that relationship grows, you see better conversion rates, more sales, and at that point, companies are more open to higher commission rates and things like that. Generally, asking them up front, hey, give me more money, they're not going to do it. Why should we give you more money? We want to see more value from you. And so it's working on relationships like that.
So then, let's say people that are sitting at home right now and they're listening and they say, it sounds great, I want to do this. What do they, in terms of getting started, and what sort of numbers are even in the realm of, making this workable? Obviously, is it CPM you're charging for?
Well, I do have CPM ads on the site.
Okay.
That run through a variety of networks, Google AdSense, because I don't want to have a sales team. I use Google AdSense, and then there's a newly emerging technology called header bidding that allows a variety of other ad networks to compete against AdSense. So rather than just saying, hey, you get what you get, the fill rate's what the fill rate is, they're bidding against AdSense for that impression.
Okay, so they're going on trying to shop around, and if AdSense wins, it displays AdSense. If they can beat that CPM, they display their side.
Yeah, and then it falls back to, there's the traditional falling back to someone who pays me, 3 cents per 1,000 people or something, silly like that. But the CPM rates for U.S. traffic on certain pages of the sites can be $12, $15 per 1,000 impressions.
Okay. And that's all on display, CPM.
And that's just on display. Yep. Most of the VPN relationships either work on a cost per action basis, where it's a single action. So when they buy, there's a one-time commission, and some of them work on a renewal commission basis. And
so renewal. Sorry, go on.
I kind of personally like that because I think it puts me as the website owners, puts my interest more in tune with what the partners, what the VPN partners' interest is in. They're looking to retain customers for years, not to get a single sale and then the client disappears. So what it kind of that renewal basis is, you get a commission on the sale, and then every month or every year that customer renews with them, you then get a recurring commission.
In perpetuity?
In perpetuity in some cases,
okay.
Yes. So if I'm really building them good quality, helping them build a great quality customer base, it could be 5 years worth of commission off of a single sale.
And that also kind of, the more of those you get, you kind of start laying your foundation. So you don't have as many, you still have the bumps, but they're not as aggressive. You have a base of X every month, and that's coming in no matter what, and then you can start looking to the display, and maybe you have a good month, maybe not so much, but at least you have that base.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the reasons why I like that model, is that, look, Google shifts their search engine results around. I might, I've been lucky. I haven't had any significant hits based on algorithm changes, but get on any of the webmaster websites and you know that
Yep.
Google can change the algorithm and you can lose 30%, 50%, or even 100% of your Google search traffic overnight. And knowing that there's this tail of revenue coming in, at least there's a little bit of sense of, I don't know, security is probably not the right word, but at least there's
consistency.
If the traffic disappeared tonight, there's at least revenue coming in for some period of time, which makes figuring out what to do next or how to deal with it a little bit less stressful.
Yeah. And now, when you said there's never been any hits with Google, I know at one point they started showing significant. Okay. So when they started saying, when they started displaying their IP address, was that any change to you? Or because I know now if you ask Google, it does come back with a response, but you show up in the top.
In the top, whatever it is, depending on where you are, where it's been personalized.
Yep.
Initially, I thought that was going to be the death of my business.
Okay. When was that?
It's probably been 5 or 6 years now. That was one of the first knowledge graph response things that they did.
So was
starting to show the IP address.
So was that before you left your full-time job?
Yes, that was before I left my full-time job.
Okay, so it
was at least 4 years ago.
Okay, so that at least, I guess, dulled the impact of that a little bit, or was it still like a wake up and, oh wow?
It was a little nerve-wracking at first, just regardless, because I thought, oh my goodness, I could, even if it's side business, it was still, you never want to lose your side gig.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was actually going to be a pretty horrific thing, but it really probably only hit traffic maybe 5 or 10%.
Wow. Okay.
Maybe 15%. And there's a couple of reasons for that. I think some people were they didn't know what their IP address was, and they were looking more for the geographic feedback of the map that we have on the site.
Yep.
And Google doesn't tell you where they think that IP address is. Here's a number, and you're like, well, is that one mine or is that someone else's? I don't know.
Yep.
And then for the people that really were just looking for the number, those are the people that would hit my site and leave without ever clicking on an ad anyway.
Okay, so it might have lowered the actual page view slightly, but not the revenue that went with it. So the profitable customers still came. They hung around the site. They wanted to dig a little deeper, but the people that were just bouncing, it might have actually helped you a little bit there.
Yeah, it definitely helped. If I look back at my analytics for the time, definitely the page views per visit increased because of that.
Yep.
So the people that would have, just hit and gone, they're gone. Yet the people that are still remaining are the ones that are engaging with the site. So I think ultimately, again, one of those things that at the time it looks like it's going to be, this is going to be bad. It turned out to actually be a beneficial thing.
Yeah, and I can imagine, and I'm just guessing here, but the affiliate probably makes up a much larger chunk of the monthly revenue than the display. So the display
it's actually the other way around.
Oh, really?
Unfortunately, display is the larger portion of the revenue.
Oh.
And it's a little bit different if you were to compare my site to, let's say, one of the VPN shopping sites out there.
Okay.
They're probably going to have they're not running display on their websites, but their conversion rates are going to be significantly higher because someone's a different place in the shopping cycle.
Yep.
If you're going to a VPN comparison site, you've already made the decision. I'm going to buy a VPN. I just need to make my decision as to which.
Got it.
The people that are coming to my site are probably, a lot of them aren't even aware that VPNs exist. And so there's a bigger education cycle that has to happen.
Okay.
So I'm catching people significantly earlier in the shopping phase of, oh, a VPN? What's that? Oh, That's kind of interesting. As opposed to, I'm ready to buy, I'm just looking for a coupon code.
Okay. Interesting. I did not see that coming. So now, in general terms, CPMs, just so people can and I ask because people are probably sitting there thinking, like, how many pages would I need to be able to make a go of this? And everyone's, 6 million, obviously that's a lot, but like, people are trying to figure out, okay, do I need 1,000? Do I need 10,000? Like, basically, at what point they could get enough page views to replace their income? I guess that's probably the basic question people ask in their head. What kind of average CPM rates, and just so people can start triangulating into what they would need to do?
I'll give you the typical webmaster responses. It depends.
Yeah. Yes.
And while no one wants to hear that, that really is the answer.
Yep. What's it depend on?
If your website is talking about people that are immediately, you're comparing VPNs as a good example.
Yep.
Even if you're running display ads, the people seeing those display ads, they're ready to buy. They're at a different point in the shopping cycle. Whereas people looking at an IP address, you come in to get what is my IP address, they're not looking for anything. And so it's a matter of, can this banner ad catch their attention on something that they might be interested in? So it really depends on the topic of the site and the context that whatever that topic is in, and then the amount of traffic.
Yep.
Obviously, U.S. traffic is always going to be better than Argentina, Central America, things like that. Usually the top ones are US, UK, Australia, Canada, New Zealand. And you can sometimes throw in like Israel and South Africa in there.
Yep.
Outside of those countries, it can be really hit and miss. Even with good ad networks, it can be really hit and miss on being able to get good CPMs.
What would you consider is a good CPM versus what would be what's the range of good on one side and just super low on the other that you've seen?
I have worked with ad networks that they call it run of site traffic. So it's kind of after everyone else has kind of taken their shot at the inventory, I was getting paid 5 cents per 1,000.
5 cents. Okay. Wow.
So for 1,000 ad views, I made 5 cents.
Yep.
Again, that's I have a very international audience, and so that's probably not indicative of what most people would see. I think when you're talking U.S. audiences, for a site where there's interest in a specific topic and that's a monetizable topic, you're talking about a topic where there's products, there's services surrounding it. Probably $1 per 1,000 is probably on the low side.
Okay.
I do have some pages on my site for certain traffic segments getting the $15 to $20 per 1,000.
Wow. Okay. So that's
I wish it was that way for all 6 million visits, but the reality is that's not the case.
Yeah, and a lot of times the remnant was the term you used, right? On the
yes.
Yep. So basically, when you can't go out, you can't sell it, or no other display network can sell that spot on the page, it goes to remnant, and at least you're making those 5 cents. But everyone's shooting for that, $15 CPM, $20 CPM. Of those super targeted, those users that there's intent and they're going to click, they're going to buy, and everyone wants, that right there.
Yeah. And so honestly, what I've done periodically and what I'm currently doing is there is a minimum threshold that if I can't hit a CPM rate, I'd rather show no ad.
Okay.
I'd rather have the person have a better experience on the site with no ads than, oh, gee, I made an extra $1 today.
Yep.
I'd rather have, a few thousand visitors or 10,000 visitors see one less ad or no ads and then be happy about that than me make a couple of cents. I think you're wise to consider user experience versus revenue on everything that you do.
Yep.
I mean, people like pop-ups and slide overs and all these kind of exotic ads can pay $20, $30, $40, $50 per 1,000 impressions, but my personal experience is if I go to a site and there's a slide over, I don't go back to that site unless I have to.
Well, and there's some things where
there's always an exchange.
And Google stopped, as some of those have come and gone, Google's and penalized people. So kind of staying out of that, bad side of the playground, it probably kept you insulated from some of these hits Google has made over the years, and allowed you to kind of stay in where some other people just going for the cash grab, have kind of got knocked down by Google.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely, over the course of the business, made decisions I'm going to make less money.
Yep.
Because I'm trying to think of what's the long game here.
Yep.
If I want the site to stay popular, I want to stay high in the rankings, I need to provide as good of or better service than my competitors and have a less intrusive ad experience than them.
Have you found anything with ad blockers and all that? I know that's a hot topic right now. Everyone's saying it's, killing their ads. And have you found anything where that's affecting you, or do you not track that or not notice?
I've run some products that are supposed to be able to kind of track that, because it's kind of hard to track
Yep.
something that doesn't happen consistently and accurately.
Yep.
At the time that I ran it, I think it was maybe 15 to 20% of the traffic was blocking ads.
Oh, wow.
I don't necessarily equate that to a 15 or 20% drop in revenue, though.
Yes.
Because I'm sure that a lot of those people who choose to block ads are people that would never click on the ads to begin with.
And that's one thing I've heard, that, the people run these are the geeks that probably aren't, I might run an ad block every once in a while, but kind of the nerds like myself might not be the ones clicking on some of the ads in the first place anyway. And we might be the ones that come to the site and just bounce, that weren't really helping you in the first place. Yeah.
So I'm not convinced that,
Yep.
At least for me, that it is. I mean, I've got a pretty techie audience to begin with.
Yep.
And because of the international, there's a lot of reasons that the ads actually on my site perform probably considerably worse than most people would experience. A lot of reasons for that. But I agree. I think at least, I don't think ad blockers are as bad of a thing as people are making them out to be. The more intrusive your ads are, the more it's going to impact you. But that's the reason why people are blocking your ads, because they're intrusive.
Well, and that's the thing. People have gone to the sites where there's just ads loading, and it literally slows down the page to a point of, it's almost, there was a weather site I remember I'd always visit, and it just made it so it was loading in like 8-9 seconds, the page. And it just got to a point of like, this is just difficult going to the page. So the ad block is for that. It's more just improving your own experience, and not about not seeing the ads, just you need the page to load. And, having some random display networks stop the entire rendering, it kills the whole experience.
Yeah, and that's where website owners have to make a conscious decision of, am I chasing money, or am I actually trying to provide a service that I'm trying to monetize? Because what I see is, CPM rates on ads in general have been trending down for probably the last 10 years.
Yep.
At least that's what I see from a lot of people talking about AdSense and some of the larger networks. And so their general solution is, well, let me just add another ad to the page.
Yep.
Which then drives down the rates even more. Let me add another page, and soon you've got a paragraph of content with 16 ads surrounding it. And how does that benefit anybody?
Yep. What was the website where they sold pixels for $1 or something like that? And it literally was just
the million pixel website.
$1 million homepage. There it was.
Yeah, the $1 million homepage. They were paying links.
Yes.
They were paid links.
And it was actually just a web page that all it was is ads. And that was the best example. They just went the other way and said, we'll just make the whole website ads, forget it. And they did well, but
yeah, and so it was basically people buying, well, that was probably before the days where buying links was a penalized sort of thing. So they were basically buying links to their sites.
Yep. And there was one point I remember they sold $1 million, and he said, I'm done. That's it. And yeah.
It's a very interesting model. And if you can get attention to it, you can make $1 million.
Yeah. Yes. Quickly too. He made it. It was in days, but
wow.
Yeah. So, okay. 2018, you've been working on this full time 4 years. Where do you see things going from here? Where do you see things in the next 4, 5, 10 years from here?
Honestly, in the last year or two, things are starting to level off, at least in my business. So I'm looking for ways to branch out into other topics, other websites, other content, which I can monetize through similar means. So that's part of my thought process. Like, okay, here's a topic I'm interested in, or I know people that are interested in, we can provide valuable content. Are there affiliate programs associated with this type of industry? If there aren't, it's going to be a little bit harder, but trying to think of things where, okay, there's an opportunity here. I see this industry becoming popular in the next couple of years. Looks like there's probably going to be some affiliate programs there. So let's start building out the site now, produce great quality content, keep the number of ads low, build an audience, and then work to build in affiliate programs as they become available in that industry.
And you kind of see the same model of building a site, building traffic, building an audience, and then monetizing through affiliate. That's still going to work, the next 5, 10 years.
I hope so. Yeah. If not, I'm in trouble.
Well, but there's no indicators of that slowing down now. That type of the affiliate is still. Yep.
people are still buying things. There's still value to merchants to have someone
Merchants don't want eyeballs.
promoting their products,
Yep.
Talking about their products. That's as long as products are going to be sold, having someone pitch your product is always going to be of value to a merchant.
Yep. So the goal is just get in front of more people and show them the products they may want at that time, and merchants provide a little cut, and there's no work involved. There's no returns, putting Bibles in boxes. It's just,
Yep.
generating more content, generating more page views.
Yeah, it's a very different industry than e-commerce in a sense.
Yep.
E-commerce, you're trying to figure out how do I eke a little bit more margin out? How do I sell more? If I switch from FedEx to UPS, I might be able to save 10% on my shipping or 5% on my shipping costs. Or I guess if you're doing free shipping, you're losing less of your margin to your shipping costs. Do I outsource my warehouse to some state where it's cheaper to run my warehouse? There's a lot of the e-commerce with product. There's a lot of infrastructure costs that you have to think about that are very different than affiliate relationships.
Yeah, and that's a good way of looking at it, where you're focusing on a slice of the business, where that piece of e-commerce sites still, there is all that, the business side, but they also need to drive traffic, and without that, they it's not going to work. And you're focused very much on that piece. So you drive traffic, monetize it through affiliates, so the whole warehousing, returns, that's kind of obscure. That's kind of moved out of your court, and you get to focus on that traffic piece and how you can do that to the best of your ability.
Yep, and I probably ultimately make less margin because of that, but I'm reducing the risk.
Yep.
The e-commerce company, they look at it as part of their marketing budget in the sense of, hey, we're willing to spend 10% of our profits or 10% of our net or gross revenue to go towards marketing. If this guy will give us traffic, we'll pay him the 10% or the 5% or the 2% or whatever it is.
Yep. I like it. All right, Chris, I think that was very helpful. I think people are going to think of the story of moving from products into affiliate. Very interesting one. It you don't hear that very often, but it's pretty neat. So thank you for that.
You're very welcome. It's been a fun transition, and I'm looking to see what the next 5 or 10 years holds.
Yeah. If people want to get in touch with you, where can they? I mean, I'm guessing on WhatIsMyIpAddress.com, but how can people get in touch with you?
Absolutely. People can visit WhatIsMyIpAddress.com. If you've got privacy, safety questions, you can email me directly at chris@WhatIsMyIpAddress.com. I'd love to have a conversation and see what I can do to help you out.
Awesome. It was great talking to you, Chris.
Great talking to you as well. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.